What's up, beautiful ladies and handsome men? I am not sure what's true or false in this story. I take gossip, tea, rumor, and scandal from yesteryear, from online, from word of mouth, from books, and I ball it up and I tell you guys a story. Now, let's get to it.
Hi, Scandalites and Says So Squad. This is Ashley with Ashley Says So, and I am back with another old Hollywood scandals video, and we have already discussed those messy Jackson brothers, so now it's time to get to the secret of messy Jackson sisters. Let's get to it. Rebbie up first, honey. Maureen Raylette Rebbie Jackson Brown was born on May 29th, 1950, and she is the eldest Jackson child. The folks say from the day that Rebbie was born, she and her father Joe were extremely close, and she was definitely a daddy's girl. But the folks also say that it was when Rebbie was around 16 years old that things started to change drastically between her and her father Joe. Allegedly, Rebbie had become attracted to guys like any teenage girl, and Joe Jackson did not handle this well at all. He became so demanding and so controlling and so needing to know every single piece of Rebbie's business. And it's alleged that Rebbie started to feel so suffocated by her father that she ran away to live with someone else. This someone else was said to be an elderly lady that the Jacksons, who were practicing Jehovah's Witnesses, went to the Kingdom Hall with. And if you are not familiar with what a Kingdom Hall is, it's pretty much like a church for Christians. So again, Rebbie runs off to live with this elderly lady. Not only is it because Rebbie wants to date around, and she's starting to notice guys, gossip claims that Rebbie by this time has actually fell in love with a certain guy, and this guy's name was Nathaniel Brown. And I'm guessing with this newfound freedom that Rebbie had, that she was indeed able to start courting Nathaniel more openly and more frequently, because within 2 years they were wanting to be married. When Rebbie informed her parents, Joseph had a full-blown meltdown. Honey, it said that he threw everything on Rebbie's shoulders, telling her that she was ruining the family, telling her that she was supposed to be a singer, telling her that if she got married, she was going to ruin her brother's singing career. And most of all, he was telling her that nobody knew best for her than her father. She was his daughter. Nathaniel didn't know what to do with his doggone daughter. And word on the streets claimed that Rebbie tried to calm her father by telling him, Daddy, I am not going anywhere. I really don't want a career in singing. I actually just want a home life with my husband. But Joe would not hear any of it until Rebbie told him that, you know what, Daddy, I will continue to sing with the family, but I still want to marry Nathaniel. And that is when Joe, he didn't really give a blessing for Rebbie to get married, but he allowed her to get married. But he was certain to let her know that when you walk down that doggone aisle, I'm not walking you nowhere. You're going to be by your doggone self. And so she walked down the aisle without her father by her side. The year was 1968 and Rebbie was 18 years old. Now, Rebbie made good on her promise, and throughout the 1970s, she continued to sing with her siblings whenever the full family was booked to perform. And she also sang with both of her sisters, LaToya and Janet, when Joe tried to make a trio girl group out of the three. The girl group unfortunately didn't work out, but by the late 1970s, early 1980s, Rebbie, along with everybody else in the family, started to watch her brother Michael's solo success. Joe Jackson still held a pretty heavy hand over the whole family when it came to music, so when he saw Michael's success, he wanted to basically make them successes at their own solo careers, one by one, and Rebbie was no exception. So in 1982-1983, Rebbie started working on her solo album, and a lot of people don't know this, but Rebbie could sing a little bit. Honey, listen, you got some folks out here that's saying that Rebbie was actually the best girl singer out of the Jacksons. I'm talking about even beating Janet. Now, I don't know about all that, but I will say that Rebbie Jackson came out with her 1984 hit, honey, Centipede. Rebbie Jackson was not playing, and she killed it with that song. And really, one of the reasons why that song was so big was because in the middle of the song, the hook starts to repeat over and over, and Rebbie just screaming, honey. She is singing with a very powerful voice. People couldn't believe that a Jackson was singing like this, and a lot of people felt like Joe Jackson had hit another gold mine. until they found out it wasn't A. Jackson singing like that. Turns out Rebbie was pulling a Milli Vanilli and her behind wasn't singing over that hook at all. It was Martha Wash from the Weather Girls. So all of that gold mine talk suddenly died down, and any more of Rebbie's music that she put out really just didn't do anything else. But the only person who was truly hurt behind this was Joe Jackson. Rebbie was good and content to living a quiet family life, so she ended up leaving the music business to do just that. Now let's move on to LaToya Jackson, and what? Child, this is just the start of the spice in this video. First, let's start off with a fun fact. LaToya was actually born on Rebbie's 6th birthday, and LaToya is the 5th child of the Jackson family. Now, LaToya, just like Rebbie, sang with her siblings in the 1970s, and something else LaToya did just like Rebbie was take a small interest in boys. And one of those boys was said to be Diana Ross's brother, Chico Ross. When news got out about their little romance, Diana Ross was said to be their biggest cheerleader. Gossip claims that she wanted very badly for her brother Chico to marry LaToya. But unfortunately for Chico, there was someone more successful and definitely more charismatic right around the corner, and this guy's name was Bobby DeBarge. Now, gossip claims that LaToya and Bobby met while Bobby was singing with the group Switch, and at first, LaToya was playing very hard to get. It was like she thought Bobby was cute, but she was a little bit put off by him, you know, because Bobby DeBarge was very ghetto and very worldly compared to what LaToya was used to. But these worldly and ghetto ways that Bobby had helped him to be smooth enough to be able to talk and finesse his way into LaToya's life. And it wasn't before long that Bobby and LaToya started a relationship. Now, gossip claims that this was never like a fully committed type relationship because, for one, they had really busy schedules, and then for two, Bobby was kind of a man whore, let's just keep it honest, be for real. So it was never like a committed type of relationship. It was more or less off and on, but it's claimed that they both meant a lot to each other, so much so that it's said that Bobby DeBarge wrote the song I Call Your Name about LaToya Jackson. Soon though, there was another celebrity calling LaToya's name, and that was film producer David Jest. Now, per rumor, David Jest put on a big show for LaToya, acting like he wanted her. You know, he was so in love. Baby, they said behind LaToya's back, he was calling her all kind of heifers and everything. The folks on the street said the only reason that David Jest ever showed any interest in LaToya is that he was wanting to use her to get close to Michael. And I'm not talking about a romantic relationship or anything like that. He just wanted to get close to Michael. Like, he wanted to be able to build a friendship with Michael. And gossip claims that he was very successful at this because by the time that he and LaToya stopped talking, he was cool with Michael. But child, listen at this. Gossip claims that David Jest may not have been the only one who had bad intentions when they were trying to holler at LaToya Jackson. Because, baby, they say that Prince turned on all kind of deep voices when he was sitting around having conversations with LaToya. And these conversations consisted of him telling her that he was interested in her and that he wanted to take her on a date. But the folks say that LaToya just kind of laughed Prince off, and this probably was a good thing she did, because the messy rumors say that the only reason that Prince was interested in LaToya was to try to get at Michael. And honey, when I tell you they was on LaToya, baby, they were on her, because gossip also claims that Eddie Murphy was sitting up there trying to slide in on LaToya. And Eddie Murphy came with the whole 9. Oh, baby, I'm talking about flowers delivered to hotel room, calling cards left in dressing room, invitations to dinner sent by special delivery services. And LaToya showed no interest in him. And gossip claims that she didn't want Eddie because she felt like Eddie was too wild. You know what I'm saying? She felt like he was living a very fast-paced and sinful life, and she just didn't want any part of that. But gossip claims that Eddie got upset about it, honey. Eddie was like, well then, what more does she want? I'm handsome, I'm successful, what's the problem? But see, what Eddie didn't know was that if he truly wanted LaToya's hand, he was gonna have to fight with Iron Mike, because it's claimed that Mike Tyson also was trying to get LaToya Jackson to be with him. And think I'm lying. Baby, I am not. Gossip claims that Mike Tyson would have drop-kicked Robin Givens off a bridge to get with Miss LaToya Jackson. But again, LaToya turned her head and looked the other way, and gossip claims it was because another man was in her sights. Sit back and listen up, because this is a whole nother story in itself. Let me tell you about it. So in the 1980s, LaToya Jackson had started her solo career, and word on the street says the career really didn't go that well. Well, just like Joe Jackson was the man behind Rebbie's solo effort, he was also the man behind LaToya's solo effort. And per gossip, LaToya blamed her father as to why, her music career didn't get off the ground. She said that he offered her no creative control. LaToya said that she couldn't even name her own album. No matter whose fault it was, the record didn't go, didn't blow, didn't do any of that. And so to some people, it became clear that LaToya was not going to be the musical success that her brother Michael or her sister Janet would. But LaToya was the one with the looks, and she was told that there may be other avenues that were open for her, avenues like acting. What's even better is by this time, Joe Jackson was working with a guy named Jack Gordon. This guy basically helped Joe manage day-to-day activities, all the business ventures, stuff like that. So anyways, Jack Gordon told LaToya that, hey, I think acting would be great for you. As a matter of fact, there is an agent that is interested in representing you. And by all means, this was the truth. Apparently, LaToya did have a big acting agent that was interested in representing her, but only her. They did not want to work with her father, Joe Jackson, at all, because these people knew that Joe Jackson was a monster in these streets. Well, when Joe Jackson heard about this, his wobbly head tail picked up the phone and cursed that acting agency out. Basically told them, if they didn't want to work with him, they wasn't getting LaToya either. And this ticked LaToya off. He already was hampering her music career, and now he had messed up these connections she had with his acting agency. Oh, she was done with her father. And Jack Gordon started telling LaToya that he could help with her career. He could really get her to shine just as brightly as her brother. Just let him help her. Allegedly, they take the idea to Joe. Joe says, cool, you know what I'm saying? He lets Jack Gordon take on the front of managing LaToya, but Joe wants to get 50% of the managerial contract regardless. Well, LaToya ends up going on the road to perform with her new manager, Jack Gordon. When they get to this venue or the hotel, Jack tells her he wants her to do something on stage. I don't know what this is, but it's something in particular that Jack Gordon wants LaToya to start doing. Whatever it is that he wants LaToya to do, they call Joe first to talk it over with him. Joe Jackson does not like this idea, and he's telling Jack, no, LaToya is not going to do that. Well, this is the last straw for LaToya Jackson. This man, Jack Gordon, has a plan mapped out for her. Whatever he wants her to do, he's told her, this is gonna work, this is gonna make you a celebrity. But here come daddy, sitting up there stopping something once again. So LaToya supposedly gets all worked up, she's mad, she just wants Joe to leave her alone. So gossip claims that LaToya tries to take a whole bunch of sleeping pills. When Joe Jackson finds out that his daughter rather kill herself than have him have anything else to do with her contract or her career, that is when Joe Jackson finally throws his hands up and he says, you know what, fine, I won't try to manage you at all anymore. I'll even take my name off the contract. No more 50% for me. Everything seems good. But then LaToya comes back home from off the road. Joe now starts to taunt her. Or he basically starts to say, you done made this stupid behind decision. Ain't nobody gonna take care of you like I was gonna take care of you. You my daughter. As a matter of fact, I might mess your career up so you can't be nothing, since you want to sit up there and take me out of it. So gossip claims that LaToya gets on the phone with Jack Gordon and she tells Jack, my father is insane. And no matter what we do, my father says that he's gonna mess everything up so nothing will ever work out for me. And Jack Gordon was said to have come by the house. So Jack Gordon stumps into the compound. He trying to have words with Joe Jackson, but baby, the folks say that Joe said ain't no words to be had, baby. Said that Joe said ain't nothing happening but these hangings being thrown. Baby, they say Joe knocked that man around like a rag doll, honey. Honey, said LaToya tried to run in there talking about some, Joseph, no. Baby said Joe knocked her upside the head and threw her into a wall too. Honey, LaToya just slid down the wall slowly crying, sitting up there watching Jack Gordon take his beating. Joe Jackson bust them two folks up so bad that, honey, Jack Gordon and LaToya Jackson ran out of that house just like Tina Turner was running from that hotel in the movie. And baby didn't stop running until they jumped on a plane and headed to New York, I think it was. Either New York or Las Vegas. So now that LaToya had left with Jack Gordon, she had officially left the Jackson family compound. She was on her own and she was ready to take the world by storm. And so she asked Jack What is the first step? And that man told LaToya the first step was her behind getting butt naked. And I'm playing, but I'm not playing, because Jack Gordon definitely did tell LaToya that the only way that she would become a worldwide superstar is if she loosened up. You know what I'm saying? If she showed some skin. So they started working on a new album, and when LaToya's first new video came out called You're Gonna Get Rocked, you know, it surprised a lot of people because LaToya was drastically different. Now she was running around with skin tight pants on. You know, she got these glittery sequin shiny boobs. She got sexy curls going all the way down to the middle of her back, you know, and she's dancing more provocatively. She's really opening up a sexual side of herself. And this new song did okay, but it definitely did not do what LaToya expected it to do. And then the very next single she released charted even lower than that. Now, with this being the case, most managers would go back to the drawing board. But Jack Gordon only had one plan, and that was for LaToya to get even more naked. He told her them little tight pants and sequins bras wasn't enough. I mean, everybody's doing that. Look at Selena Quintanilla. You need to do something more. You need to show the world that you are not a little girl anymore. And this is when Jack Gordon tells LaToya that you need to do Playboy. LaToya was said to be hesitant at first, but Jack Gordon promised her, when you do Playboy, LaToya, you are so beautiful, the world won't be able to deny you. You know, you'll be having people eating out the palm of your hand. And so with this, LaToya said okay. She ended up posing for Playboy in the year of 1989. Baby, it took the world by storm. People could not believe that a Jackson family jewel was showing the Jackson family jewel. I'm talking about sold 7 million copies in a month. Men went absolutely crazy. Everybody just had to have a copy of this magazine. And once again, it is because LaToya Jackson was an absolutely beautiful woman. But that was not the only appeal. The big appeal was we get to see a Jackson sister naked. You know what I'm saying? These are supposedly the good girls. The girls that's put up on the shelves that's too good for us. You know what I'm saying? Well, now you got one here spreading for everybody to see. And if LaToya did have any complaints, baby, all that ceased when she saw her paycheck, because LaToya was the, if not one of the highest paid people that Playboy had ever gotten to model in their magazine. But somebody was doggone horrified, and that was the actual Jackson family. And Catherine started telling folks that she felt like LaToya was trapped and that Jack Gordon was making her baby do all these things. Joe Jackson was too stunned. The man couldn't even comment. All he could do was shake his head. Then, you know, Jermaine's hair had to put his little 2 cents in it, honey. Jermaine sitting up there, got on camera on Entertainment Tonight talking about some, the only reason my sister did this is because I didn't have a hit record. Because I couldn't sing. That's why LaToya did that. What? Jermaine, what does that even have to do with anything, sir? Almost everybody in the Jackson clan either distanced themselves from LaToya or tried to reach out to LaToya to try to bring her back into the fold or tell her why she was wrong. Gossip claims the only one that afforded LaToya any type of grace was her brother, Michael. And also around this time, Michael and LaToya were pretty doggone close, because not only was Michael being a comfort for LaToya, he also had ended up hearing that Jack Gordon, LaToya's manager, had like mob ties and all these bad ties with these gangsters. And gossip claims that he tried to warn LaToya, Jack Gordon is a very bad man, you need to stay away from him, but LaToya did not listen. LaToya allegedly trusted Jack Gordon so fully that when Jack Gordon set up a surprise wedding for her, telling her that he wanted to marry her, LaToya said yes. LaToya now will say that Jack Gordon forced her to marry him. Rumor on the street says that LaToya wanted to marry Jack Gordon, that LaToya looked at her and Jack Gordon almost like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, because you got to realize this was right after the Playboy success, you know, so they are rolling in millions of dollars, you know what I mean? So LaToya feels like, you know, yes, she may be a bad girl or whatever, but this is her image. Like, kind of like she was going against the grain and it was her and her guy. She saw them as a Bonnie and Clyde. If LaToya did indeed marry Jack Gordon on her own accord, this spelled bad news for LaToya, because they may have been living this Bonnie and Clyde type life and racking up all this money, but baby, that money didn't come from no doggone singing. that money didn't come from no doggone acting. The money came from LaToya showing her body in Playboy magazine. Now, Jack Gordon saw her body or her looks as a gold mine. And although he sent LaToya off on all of these singing tours and she was booking all type of gigs, Jack Gordon just could not wait until the next time he could get this woman naked to make some money. So now, 1989, LaToya does the Playboy spread. After that, she's doing all of these singing gigs and things like that. Well, by 1990, Jack Gordon is looking for a way to make another windfall of money. It is much too early to have LaToya posing in another Playboy spread, so gossip claims that he's thinking of another way they can get big bucks. Then it dawns on him. The whole world is interested in the Jacksons, but barely any of the world knows what it was like to grow up being a Jackson, knew what the Jacksons were like behind closed doors. So this is when Jack Gordon was said to use LaToya Jackson's pillow talk against her. And when I say pillow talk, I'm talking about when he and LaToya used to talk to each other and she used to talk to him about Joe, about how domineering her father was. You know what I'm saying? How her father used to beat on them. Well, now Jack Gordon is telling LaToya, you need to write a book. And you need to make sure you tell them the way that your childhood was, the things that Joe did to you. Now, all of the gossip on the streets from what I saw agreed that LaToya Jackson was hesitant to write this autobiography. Some gossip claims that she told Jack Gordon, no, I'm not going to write a book. And also, you know, I'm starting to think twice about this whole marriage thing. Basically saying that she wanted to get the marriage annulled. Cha, they said that man started playing NBA 2K with LaToya Jackson's head. Baby started playing double dribble with LaToya Jackson's head. Said he slammed LaToya's head on the table about 3 to 4 times. All LaToya powder makeup fell off her face. Honey say by the time the beating was over, LaToya Jackson was laid on the floor asking the man what he wanted the name of the book to be, honey. And he replied to her, LaToya. Growing up in the Jackson family. Get this though, this is how you can tell Jack Gordon was all about the money, because even though he got LaToya to write this autobiography and they would get millions from this autobiography, he wanted LaToya to pose for Playboy in order to promote this book. Now, what kind of doggone mess is that? How is you gonna sit up there and put out a heartfelt autobiography about your life and you know you getting beat on and stuff like that, but the way to promote the book is, you know, let me show you my goods. Honey, that man had LaToya out here looking like a stone cold fool. But the book was released in 1991, and also in 1991, LaToya Jackson did her second Playboy spread. Now here's where things get a little muddy and a little touchy, because LaToya was making most of her money going around the world giving interviews about her book and also about details of things that happened inside of the Jackson family. Well, again, book was released in 1991. By the time 1993 comes around, LaToya has pretty much gone everywhere giving the same old stale interview. So out of nowhere, LaToya Jackson and Jack Gordon booked a prime time interview. And this time in the interview, she said that her father, Joseph Jackson, sexually molested her sister Rebbie and herself. Now, there are 2 sides to this. The first side says that LaToya Jackson lied on her father, Joseph Jackson, because Jack Gordon made her. You know, like I said, the book sales drying up, you know, interest was drying up, and, you know, he made her say this. And the people who believe this says that it's proof, because if Joe Jackson really did do that, then LaToya would have written that in her autobiographical book. The second side of the rumor says that Jack Gordon did not force LaToya to make up anything because it wasn't made up. This side of people believe that Joe Jackson actually did molest his daughter. And this would mean that Joe Jackson was doing this to his daughters, not necessarily with Catherine's approval, but that Catherine Jackson did not protect her daughters from her husband's molestation. You guys can type in the comments which side you think is true, but I tell you one thing, whether it was true or not, this whole thing definitely drummed up interest in LaToya. Interest was so high in LaToya that she was paid $5 million just to come and do a cabaret act where she sang and danced at a certain club. Now, to tell you the rest of the story, in later 1993, Michael Jackson was first accused of sexual assault. In Jack Gordon's eyes, God had answered all of his prayers. As soon as Michael Jackson got accused, Jack Gordon set up something for LaToya to speak on the issue and for her to support her brother, which she did, and they got their money from that. But Jack Gordon started to notice that this wasn't really a lot of money. So Jack Gordon was like, this ain't bringing us no money. You need to speak against your brother. She supported Michael Jackson on September the 2nd, 1993. Baby, on December the 8th, 1993, LaToya Jackson held a midnight press conference and said, "I can no longer be a silent collaborator to Michael's crimes against young children." She went on to say things that kind of alluded that Michael Jackson was sick and that she felt for the children. Them Jacksons could have killed LaToya. They could have strangled that doggone girl. And there was a lot of people that wanted to strangle LaToya, especially the people who knew that a few years ago when LaToya did Playboy, that Michael was the only one on her side. But to move on, in 1994, LaToya Jackson posed for Playboy. Baby, not only this time did she pose in the Playboy magazine, LaToya did a Playboy video. Then I think sometime in like 1995, she did some kind of exercise video or something like that. The video only sold 50,000 copies. It was pretty much clear by the time 1995, 1996 and all that stuff came around that the world had moved on from LaToya Jackson, and this spelled disaster because Jack Gordon became more and more abusive and more deranged and more controlling. It said that he had bodyguards watching LaToya all day and all night to make sure that she wouldn't pick up the phone to call her family, to make sure she wouldn't leave and go certain places. The hot messy tea says that one night Jack Gordon got so upset with LaToya Jackson that he started to beat her with brass chairs. Her face was cut up, she had 2 black eyes, she had a swollen lip, and I think a busted chin.
So check me out. Let me cut in here real quick. How about while I was editing this video looking for photos and stuff, I ran across some more tea. And this tea was a doozy for me and got me sitting up here bald-headed. Because why come it's rumors on the streets that says that Jack Gordon was trying to pimp LaToya Jackson out? Honey, they said that men found out about Mike Tyson wanting to get with LaToya Jackson a long time ago. And this sucker had the nerve to try to contact Mike Tyson to let him know that he could sleep with LaToya Jackson if he paid $100,000. I'm not sure if Mike Tyson took him up on his offer or not, but since we can't confirm it, let's move on.
But finally, in 1997, it is rumored that Jack Gordon left LaToya alone in a hotel in New York, and while she was by herself, she picked up the phone and she called her brother Randy, and she told Randy, "Please come get me, come rescue me." Randy got on a flight right quick and fast, came to pick up his sister, and he took his sister to Las Vegas to safety. While she was in Las Vegas, it is said that she filed a restraining order against Jack Gordon, and she also started divorce proceedings. The folks say that it took a while for LaToya to be able to ingratiate herself back in with her family. You know, some people were suspicious of her. LaToya was also suspicious of her family. You know, so it really took some healing to go on, but I'm pretty sure as of 2022, everything is good. Now let's move on to Miss Janet, honey. Janet is the baby of the Jackson bunch, and she was born on May the 16th, 1966. Gossip claims that little Janet was a spoiled brat and that she was everybody in the family's baby.
And Janet was still spoiled and doing what she was wanting to do even as an adult. So y'all make sure y'all check back for part 2 in a couple of days, because not only is that video going to be about Janet, baby, I done went ahead and sprinkled some of the rest of the family tea in there, like Joe Jackson. And the rumor about the quietest one of the Jackson family is going to tickle y'all to death. But anyways, if you guys like this video, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe. And I will see you guys soon. Love y'all. Bye.